So I'm making this video because I've heard some opinions from some tech tubers, especially one that I really like watching, and that I've been watching for quite a while. But it kind of dates back to that video I posted a few months ago, where I was in bed. That silly video that most people probably didn't click on, where I actually go into this a bit deeper, and basically it's regarding like DDR5 and stuff, and it does also touch upon what I'm saying, what I've said before in other videos I've made recently, where I've said people that didn't adopt DDR5 early and that didn't mess with Alter, they kind of don't really know at all what's going on with DDR5 because it's a very different tech than previous years. Like the transition between DDR3 and DDR4 was nothing compared to this. It was like people will say D4 was like also a similar thing. It wasn't. Like D4 to D4 from D3 was very smooth. People that had that had like Devil's Canyon back when I started gaming. That's just when I started gaming on PC. When they had Devil's Canyon, they would upgrade to the 600-700K. DDR4 wasn't that expensive. It wasn't more expensive. It wasn't that expensive. It wasn't like 5,000 rand for a kit. So it wasn't like $300 initially for a good kit. Obviously, I mentioned before, that's not the price right now anymore if you know what you're doing. But again, D5 things, right? So D5, you get some OEM Hynix that cost nothing and clocks crazy. That wasn't a thing on D4. You couldn't do stuff like that. You couldn't buy JDEC RAM and clock it fucking double. It's never happened, right? And same with like board requirements just weren't that crazy. It wasn't that hard to run DDR4 speeds. D5 is not the case. So what's happening? AMD's motherboard prices honestly are completely fine. Like, you're gonna hate me saying that, and yeah, I am the motherboard guy. I'm a motherboard enthusiast. I do love motherboards, but the truth is that you cannot have a motherboard that does DDR5 6400 reliably on anything less than 6 good layers, and in most cases you want 8 layers. And that's why most of AMD's motherboards, if you check the specs pages, are all 8 layers right now. Like, every single board is 8 layers. I don't think... Well, no, I think some are 6, but the ones that are 6 are shit. Don't buy them. The MSI A Pro is an 8-layer board. W motherboard. It is a bit expensive. You're getting 8 PCB layers. You're getting 2 chipsets. So, you're paying for... you're paying for features, right? The board does look pretty ghetto, but it is a good board. 8 layers is legit, dude. That's a legit motherboard. So, yeah, so 8 layers, I mean, you to get 8 layers on 690, you needed like a Carbon. And the Carbon was a high-end board, so, right? Like, with AMD, right now, I would venture to guess, if you unlink the IMC, a lot of these budget boards probably do like 7,000 plus, because they're mature 8-layer memory topologies by this point. Some of them might be 6 layers, but again, like I said, if there's a 6-layer board, don't buy it. You do not want to buy 6-layer boards if you can avoid them. You can buy them. The Dash F from Z690 was a rare gem, but most cases you want to buy 8-layer board. And like I said, you can buy the Dash A, Dash P from MSI. The cheapest one they sell is currently 8 layers. So that's that. I think the the X670 the X670E Dash A, Dash F, and Dash E should all be 8-layer boards. I'm sure they should be. Like, there's no way they're selling you a board €400 plus that's not 8 layers. I'm pretty sure it's 8 layers. It better be 8 layers, but yeah, you're getting 2 chipsets, guys. You're getting more PCIe 5. You're getting more PCIe 5 support than you get on Alder Lake. Yes, it's useless. I don't want to either. I'm not going to buy a crazy fast memory, storage device, because what's the point? Gen 4 is plenty faster than most people need even. And GPU-wise, Lovelace isn't even using 5. And I mean, AMD might use Gen 5, but would it matter? Probably not. I don't think they would need it. It's there, but I don't think they would need it for their cards if they even implemented it. But so, but the board prices, like, they're not, guys, if the board prices weren't as high as they are right now, the boards they would be selling you would be reflective of the price. Meaning, if the boards they were selling you were €200, you'd be getting 4 to 6 layers as you were in previous years, right? You would be getting less power stages, and you'd be getting like less PCIe support. So you would be getting less PCIe switches. You wouldn't be getting Gen 5, you'd be getting Gen 3 and 4. So if you want a Gen 3 4 board with crap power stages and terrible memory topology and 4 PCB layers, sure, okay, they could do that. It wouldn't do very well. Probably max out DDR5 at like 4800, right? But I mean, if you want it, they could probably make you that board. I don't think they will. More than likely, you'll start seeing €250 B650 boards. But again, those boards themselves shouldn't be that cheap either, because again, the cost is coming mainly from the power stages, and there is upgrading the power deliveries, because I mean, well, these chips do kind of need them, because these chips draw a lot of amperage, bro. So, like you say now you don't care about VRMs, but I mean, if you get a 16 core and it's pulling fucking 300 amps of Linpack, you might come back to me and be like, the VRM seems kind of important. Like, you don't think you need a VRM until you start drawing 300 fucking amps of Linpack. Then you start stressing, right? Like, once you start seeing 1.45 volts at load, your chip hitting 95C auto, and the thing's trying to boost itself to like 5.4 gigahertz, and now you're looking at your VRM and it's actually getting warm, and you're like, oh fuck. Like, so VRMs do matter. Power stages do die. I mean, GPU power deliveries are overbuilt, and they have dead power stages all the fucking time. So tell me how that works, because I'm telling you right now, 6900 XTs do not draw more than like 350 amps. Even like, you need to mod the BIOS, like soft modded with power play tables, to even get 350 amps on that card. And at 350 amps, you could easily blow power stage. In fact, there have been dead power stages on those GPUs at way less than 350 amps, meaning that even with that fucking crazy 1500 amp, max capacity power delivery with like 14 cracked power stages, you're still blowing power stages. Which means the VRM does indeed matter. It's always mattered, and it always will matter if you're using these high current drawing pots, like the 16 core, like the 12 core, especially when you're pumping voltage and then current goes up and your power usage goes crazy. The VRM is going to start mattering a little bit, at least a little bit. And memory topology is huge. Like, you can hate D5 if you want to hate D5. Hate D5 all you want, right? AMD's IMC design is different than Intel's. They couldn't do double D4 and D5. I have a podcast episode I just have to edit a bit, because my friend JD and I made an episode that was like 3 hours long. I can't upload that because no one's going to watch it, obviously. In that episode, we touch on like how the IMCs work on Alder Lake and why Intel could do D4 and D5. It's a simple reason, a simple engineering factor that affected it. AMD probably couldn't because of the way they do their IMC. I don't know exactly how they do it. I haven't seen the IMC voltage rails. I probably should go check. But AMD's IMC design did not allow for them to easily implement dual memory technology. So, for that reason, we are stuck with D5. So if you want AMD's performance, you need D5, and D5 requires good motherboards. Sorry. Like, the future means more expensive shit, guys. Like the motherboard was never an expensive component, because the stuff that you were doing on that motherboard never required much material cost from the vendor, right? That's why boards were always cheap, is because it didn't cost much money to maintain signal on a PCB that only needed to spec out for PCI Gen 3. It never mattered, how many layers you had, how much R&D you put into topology when you were running max DDR4 like 4000 on a good day, right? So that's when it didn't matter. Now it matters, right? When you're touching 6400 on a regular basis, when you're doing 7000 with OCs, PCB matters, and it's rough. So board prices are what they are. Do not complain about them. If you complain about them, you probably just haven't experimented with Alder Lake. If you've experimented with DDR5 and you understand why what you're observing is happening, then you know that good motherboards are no longer a joke. Good motherboards are appreciated and necessary. Unfortunately, that's just how it is, right? So, yeah.